Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about traveling and specifically our travels. We want to talk about some of the adventures that we've had, some of the misadventures we've had, and what it's been like over the last few years traveling with the kiddos, and talk about some of our favorite places to go. And I want to talk about our next adventures. We just literally just planned out our next adventures last night. So I want to talk about that. And also, before we get into all that, I wanted to give everybody a little update on the resource situation and what we found for our autistic son, and then we're going to check into. You want to talk about that?
So I did a quick little Google search, and I found basically it's just like an online source that teaches parents how to do their own like in-home ABA therapy.
So it's just like a basic course.
Yeah,
to
like a
kind of
50-hour course certification program, but you also have to qualify for it. And it says, we accept insurance in 48 states. Doesn't list those states.
But it's absolutely worth checking into, because I mean, that's what I was talking about, even if it's because we need to learn how to, cope with certain things, and we need to learn how to redirect our son with autism. And our son with autism, he is 4. He'll be 5 in May. His name is Rocket. And we need to learn how to cope and redirect
the behaviors.
his behaviors that are not really a problem, but more of like a distraction for him.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to make it to where Rocket, as he gets older, can handle being in settings away from mom and dad and still feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to give everybody an update. I know it's only been a couple of days since the last show, and we really talked about this, and we're digging into more resources. We've talked to a few other people.
Well, and I've reached back out to the company that we try to work with to see what we can get the ball rolling on. And I'm just going to keep advocating and being persistent. And
absolutely. That's what it takes. And so, ladies and gentlemen, now I just wanted to give you a little update of what we found over the last couple of days. And, if you want to reach out to us and let us know, like, what are your resources? We live in Northwest Missouri, but we'd be interested in doing anything really online or anything like that with ABA therapy or autism resources. Any little bit of help helps. So,
right.
And now we want to get into the quote unquote meat of the show. I want to talk about traveling, and a lot of our very favorite thing to do when we're not working is to travel with our kids. Yeah. We've never really been anywhere alone except for a graduation in Tennessee, but I wanted to talk about some of our adventures and misadventures.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, if you ask me what my hobbies are, the first thing I'm going to tell you is traveling.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that's a hobby. I mean, if it is, it's an expensive hobby.
I'd say it's probably it is expensive, but at the same time, there's lots of things that we could do that are cheaper that we don't do because we're traveling farther away from home than we absolutely, like, if we wanted to get away, we could do closer to home and cheaper vacations. And that's one of the things that I want to get into on another show is like one tank trips.
Yeah.
And our next adventure is a one tank trip. And I don't want to talk about that quite yet. I want to talk about, so a funny story about one of our travels and misadventures is sometimes we are out in public and my children vomit. And I don't deal with it very well. And my wife, bless you, for dealing with that and allowing me to walk away from that situation. Yeah, I literally get up and walk away. He
literally walks away.
So we took the kids to Disney World in 2014. And our oldest
2015.
son, 2015. So our oldest son how old was he? He was like 11 or 12,
I think
something
he
like
was
that.
11 because Sully was
Like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so we took him to Disney World, and we had been telling our oldest son all day long, stop eating that candy. It's going to make you sick.
Yeah, because, I mean, the reason we had so much candy is because we went to Disney and we got the meal plan, and it came with snacks, and the kids used all their snacks for
Too
candy.
many snacks. It was ridiculous.
Don't ever get the meal plan at Disney, unless you like snacks. But they spent all their snacks on candy, like gummy worms, gummy bears, lollipops, cupcakes.
And so we were at the hotel room, and we wanted to take a little nap, and apparently our oldest son was up eating candy the whole time we were taking a nap. And then when it was time to wake up and go hang out at the park or whatever,
We went to the pool.
we went to the pool. Well, actually, we were walking past the pool. We were going to go into the building, and just no warning or anything, right there in the middle of the walkway, just the most colorful vomit you ever saw.
It was like a unicorn threw up on the sidewalk.
I just walked away. I couldn't even, I didn't stop. I didn't look back. I just walked away. And I know it has to bother you when I do that, but I can't. I'm going to do it too.
And like, I'm one of those people that don't deal with vomit very well anyways.
Especially like when it's not. So our oldest son is your stepson. So he's not blood related, and that makes it a little more icky for some reason.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I can still remember the first time like Caleb threw up, and this was before I had kids of my own, and I was like, I can't do it. And you were just there holding it together, and I was not. And then like he's thrown up on the sidewalk, and I'm having to help him. And Sully's like, oh, poor Caleb, because like Sully cared about Caleb then. And so, yeah, it was fun, I guess.
So that's one misadventure. And it seemed like that entire trip was
Miserable.
one giant mishap. It was really our first big trip. And like we had went to the Omaha Zoo, and we had went to Tennessee before that. But when we had went to Disney World, it was like our first big family trip.
And it was when we realized that Florida was like being on the surface of the sun.
Yes. And it was really like that. It was like it wasn't much hotter down there than it was here, but it was very humid and not very pleasant. As soon as you walk outside, it was like the sun is right here. And it was like taking when you breathe, it was like taking a big old breath of water.
Yeah.
And it sucked the whole time we were there.
Well, and I remember it wasn't Blizzard Beach. It was the other one.
Oh, I can't remember. Typhoon Lagoon?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Typhoon Lagoon. That water park didn't have the water that sprayed on the sidewalks.
So your feet,
Like Blizzard Beach did.
We were walking on hot concrete, and your feet were, it was miserable.
And like you and Caleb found some like railroad tie type things to stand on, and Sully was like screaming that his feet were burning, and I was like trying to hold him, and my feet were burning, and like, 6 years old, Sully was still a big kid.
All right.
And I'm holding him, my feet are burning. We're trying to like throw our, towels and shirts on the floor to like have something to stand on because it was so hot to make our way to shade. And
so
it was like playing the floor is lava.
Right.
At the water park.
I remember that. And it was suck. Like the Blizzard Beach though, that was pretty awesome. We really had a lot of fun there. Yeah. We kind of spent the whole time that we were at Disney World at the water parks because it was really too hot to really enjoy the Magic Kingdom, and we went. It's just we didn't stay. The kids weren't having fun, and it was like
the lines were so long for
they
rides.
hadn't updated the park in like 50 fucking years.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like walking into like, oh, you still got the Dumbo ride? What?
Yeah.
Like
hey, we rode Dumbo.
Yeah, you did. You rode Dumbo.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I stayed off of it. But we went to the Animal Kingdom the first day we were there, and I was not having a very good time because my back hurt and everything. And then we ended up at the water parks most of the time, where our middle son Sully got sunburnt. And when I say sunburnt, I mean burnt to a crisp. He had The doctor, when we got him home, said he had an allergic reaction to the sun, and that's how bad he was burnt. It was really bad.
Yeah, we couldn't even put like aloe vera on him because he screamed in pain.
Right. And that was the trip that we had decided, like after Disney World, we were going to go to Siesta Key Beach, which was rated the #1 beach in Florida, and it was horrible. It was a white sand beach.
Like, when you see the videos of like Instagram versus reality.
Yes, it felt like that.
What it felt like.
Only
like I heard that music in my head, like the sad flute
Oh,
sound.
yes,
like
yes.
When we were on.
I didn't really hear that. I was just hearing I wasted all this money to come to this place.
Yeah. It was
And Disney
awful.
World was, I regret spending as much money as we did at Disney World, because what we had done is I didn't want to worry about anything while we were down there. I didn't want to worry about food. I didn't want to worry about drink. I didn't want to worry about money, At Disney World, I wanted everything taken care of as stress-free as possible. Exactly. And the reason for that was because I really wanted to focus our time and energy on the kids and having fun. And we didn't, it seemed like the whole time we were there, it was just one giant mistake and a waste of about 10 grand. We spent a lot of money on that trip. We spent money. We bought the top tier food thing that you could get, I don't even know what they call it.
Meal plan.
The meal plan. And it came with all 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But it also came with 2 full-size snacks. It was just, we felt like we were planning our whole day around food.
Yeah.
And it was during this, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you had to make reservations. Yeah. And if you didn't, you weren't going to get in anywhere. And so
you would have to do like quick service meals is what you ended up having to do. And nobody wants to do quick service meals at Disney World.
Right. And the quick service meals probably would have been a little bit better, but I tell you what would have been even better than that would have been if we had not got the meal plan at all.
Yeah.
And just when we were hungry, go eat.
Well, and like the thing is like, so we've been to Universal and went to Planet Hollywood to eat and not even had that long of a wait.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
So like we had to make that reservation to eat at Planet Hollywood when we could have just like showed up and went in and
right.
didn't have to wait that long. So
Planet Hollywood is one of my favorite restaurants. When we go to the touristy type places, I like going. There's good food, good prices, and
good
there's lots of
atmosphere.
stuff to look at.
Yeah.
And the kids love it. And one of the things that we could have done differently at Disney, like I said, was not purchase the meal plan. And it would have saved us about $2,000 over the course of a week.
Well, because when we went to leave, like our last day there, what did we have? Like 15 snacks?
No, we had 15 snacks when we left. Now, that's even after we went and tried to buy everything we could buy.
Yeah.
And like we had spent 20 snacks on just getting snacks for the road to drive home. And we were going to my sister's house. We were stopping by my sister's house in Unionville, Tennessee on our way back, which is about an hour. Over by my sister's is Marcy Joe's Meal House that recently closed. It's one of our favorite places, but we love Tennessee. And every time we go visit my sister, anytime we were in Tennessee at all, anytime we passed by Marcy Joe's, we always stopped by. And it was a really good place to get breakfast. And their cinnamon rolls were fantastic. Mm-hmm. I don't like cinnamon rolls, but I like their cinnamon rolls.
Well,
I think they're still doing that. But.
Well, and if you ask the kids, they had the best chocolate milk.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. and their coffee was just regular old coffee, but damn, it tastes good after when you wake up that early in the morning to go get breakfast, coffee is the best.
Yeah. Or what'd you always used to get? Rory's overalls.
Oh, yeah. And what that was biscuit, and then on top of the biscuit, they would have bacon, eggs, like the over easy, or you could have them scrambled or whatever, and then they'd have gravy on top of that. So it was like great, biscuits and then overall. So Rory's overalls.
Yeah.
And we loved that place, and it's sad that they closed down. I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss the people and the restaurant itself. I'm gonna miss the tradition of when we go down to see my sister, going to eat there.
I mean, I think they still have another location, but I don't exactly know where it's located.
I wouldn't say it's a bakery though.
Yeah. But I think they closed Marcy Joe's Meal House down just because the building itself was having some issues.
It was
an
having
old farmhouse type.
It was really
place.
a really neat place, and I'm really glad we got to go there. We got one of their coffee mugs from there, which was pretty nice and special. I think we got your mom a T-shirt from there once.
Yeah, we have a magnet.
Oh yeah,
So we have some memories.
I forgot about the magnet. We'll have to talk about the souvenirs and stuff that I like to buy, because I don't like to spend money when we're on vacation.
Yeah.
So we'll have to talk about that too. But back to Tennessee, one of my favorite places to ever go, and I talk about Tennessee a lot when we talk.
We're gonna live there one day.
I'd love to live in the mountains there. The Smoky Mountains. It's God's country. I don't even know any other way to explain it other than it's God's country. It's one of those places where you go and you don't want to leave.
Yeah.
I was sad the last time we left, and we've been there a couple times now, so it's a really special place, and I'd actually like to live there when we retire. That'd be great.
Yeah, it feels different. Like
It does.
it's just like, even it being close to like Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, like it just feels different when you're on those winding roads along the creeks and rivers. Like it just feels
even
different.
The tourist trap places like Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, even the tourist trap places, like it wasn't all assholes and elbows like it is like at Universal Studios or Disney World. Nobody's shoving past everybody. Everybody's having a good time, and it's not anything to see a person walking down the street that's drunk, because they've been messing around in town all day. And you saw a lot of locals too, and the locals mix it up with the tourists, and I think that's great, because when I go places, I like to hang out with people, especially people from that area. When we go to Orlando, I don't really talk to many people from Orlando. I normally talk to anybody that'll talk to me, I'll talk.
Well, and you know what I like is when we go there and they ask you about where you're from, where you're visiting us from, and then they make connections with you, where you're from. Oh, I got family from Kansas City or whatever.
Right. And that
just
happens.
Like Marcy Joe, her family's from Atchison, so she liked
Kansas City Chiefs.
Cherry mashes. So the next time we went down there, we brought cherry mashes, and so
which I thought was fantastic that they were from up here. And we were Rory Feek and Rory and Joey. Yeah, they had a little show a few years back. Joey Feek had cancer. It's terminal. And so we got to watch their story. And then I found out that they were from here. And so that made that connection a little bit deeper, if you will. And then we went down there to eat. And then I met Marcy Joe, Rory's sister. And it was like good, down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth people. I'll never forget those days. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget riding the damn mountain coasters in Gatlinburg. And one of the coolest things that I'd never done is a go-kart track that is roller coaster style. And they limited the accelerators on those, so they could only go so fast, and they were on remote. But so you could have your pedal to the metal the whole way. And I almost ran into Caleb a couple times when we were on that thing. The mountain coasters were the same way. You could control your speed. And I thought that was the coolest thing. You can get up like 45 miles an hour going down a mountain coaster that just feels like it's barely together.
Well, and the funniest thing, like, about the mountain coaster, it was because you had stayed back with Rocket because he couldn't ride. And so it was Caleb, and then we put Sully in the middle coaster because we were each on our own, and then I was behind Sully. That way we could, like, if Sully bumped in.
Right.
And Sully didn't understand that, you know, if you pulled or if you went all the way forward, that was full speed ahead. Right. So
he didn't control his speed at all because he forgot how as he was going down the hill. And that's happened to me before.
And I was able to see his face as he came around the corner to go down the hill, and seeing his face, I knew he'd lost all control at that point. He was coming in hot. So it was a good thing Caleb was going full throttle too. But I swear I had a beaver going across the track on me, so I couldn't go full speed.
We saw squirrels. We saw all kinds of stuff. And it
was a good time.
On that particular trip, if I may say, guys, we went and took a helicopter tour of the Smoky Mountains National Park. One of the coolest things you'll ever do. One of the coolest things you'll ever see. Go do that. It's expensive. Like it was, now this was a few years ago, but for me and two boys, I think it was like $800 for a 45. It was 45 minutes out into the middle of the Smoky Mountains. And there, you know, of course you're in the Smoky Mountains, everything's green, but you can see peaks and valleys. And we toured the entire national park and a little bit of Cades Cove in a helicopter.
Yeah, and Sully got to sit in the front.
Yes, if you've got kids and you want to give them something that they'll never forget, take them up in a helicopter because that's one of the coolest things ever. And I know a lot of people are scared of helicopters. I get it. I mean, they're actually pretty dang safe, you know, for the most part. So if you want to do something that you'll never forget or your kids will never forget or something with your kids that you will never forget, take them on a helicopter ride around Smoky Mountains National Park. You didn't get to go, but it's going to, when you do get to go, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And so when we went to, so we had went to the Smoky Mountains twice.
Yeah.
And so both times we were able to go to Cades Cove, which Cades Cove is like an area that you can drive through.
The national park. It's like a drive-through a drive-through area of the national park.
Yeah, where you can see, you know, wildlife in their natural habitat.
And there's a couple places on that route that you can pull over and get some pictures.
And so the time before we went, we didn't really see much except coyotes and a few deer.
Right.
That sort of thing. But
of course, lots of squirrels.
The second time we went, we were able to see bears.
Yes. And we saw one bear that made me cry.
Yes.
And I'm not embarrassed about anything. I'll talk to you guys about it.
We were on a very narrow part of the road, and we were intently looking through the woods because, I mean, you would think you'd be able to notice a big bear, but no, like they blend in like pretty well with the trees.
Camouflage.
And we were looking and I seen it. And then of course the boys were like, where, you know, and Caleb's trying to record it. And I just look at you and you're crying seeing the bear. Cause you're like, it's so, what'd you say?
Majestic.
Yeah. And we were probably like, what? 100
I don't know. Yeah. 100 feet, maybe. I mean, that bear, I could have tossed, you know, a soda can out the window and hit the dang bear with it. But I mean, it was right there and it was so majestic, like I said, and I didn't expect to be overcome with emotion at that moment. But as we're driving down the road and like, we're just looking, just keep our eyes peeled for a bear. And, you know, I just look over and I was like, there was one bear and there's another bear. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cool. And since that day, I haven't seen bears when we travel through there or, you know,
and I knew that one time when we were going from Pigeon Forge to Gatlinburg, you remember all the cars were pulled over on the side of the road because there was a bear on the side. And like, I don't think you were able to see it because it was like pretty far up, but everybody
Yeah.
was pulled over and you're like, where's the bear? You know, like I was able to see it, but you couldn't see it because I think you were driving.
And
maybe.
then they tell you when you go to the Smoky Mountains, the roads down there, you know, kind of highways are 2-lane highways. So it's not like big 4 lanes, you know.
Yeah.
If you see cars stopped on the side of the road, especially people with cameras, there's wildlife nearby, and that's what they're doing. They're stopping to take pictures and look at the wildlife. And we saw numerous times people pulled over looking
Yeah.
at bears
They had
and
like
deer.
the long lens cameras.
Oh
and-
yeah, oh yeah. Lots of photographers in that area, and the Smoky Mountains National Park. And I didn't know this until we went down there. Is the most visited national park in the United States. So there you go. It's huge.
And if you haven't been there, you just have to
Yeah,
go.
if you haven't been there, you're missing out. There's all kinds of vacation rentals there, cabin rentals. In town in Gatlinburg, there's a few hotels. In Pigeon Forge, there's a couple hotels. So get your asses down there if you've never been. It's a wonderful place. I implore you all to make that on your bucket list. Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee. We'll link it in the description so you guys can check out their website and
You'll
stuff
have to
like
ride
that.
a mountain coaster. They have a coaster place called Goats on the Roof, and they really have goats on the roof.
It was, that one was fun because we did that one at night. So I didn't get to do one at night until that one. You had taken the boys on a night coaster before that, but
No, I didn't. I didn't get.
you didn't get to
do.
do it at night. Oh, now we see.
No,
we
because
gotta
Sully
go.
was afraid to go, so it was just you and Caleb.
Oh,
that
now the
went.
kid loves roller coasters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And which brings us to like, so a lot of the places that we went to beforehand were really close. Before we went to Disney World, they were really close to us, like Kansas City. We went to Kansas City numerous times because it's one of our favorite, you know, obviously one of our favorite spots is close to home. Omaha Zoo. And I tell you what, the Omaha Zoo, the Henry Dorley Zoo, the best zoo in the world, hands down, and you'll never hear anything different.
It has a pretty good aquarium too.
Yes, it does. And if you've never been there to the Henry Dorley Zoo in Omaha, Nebraska, it is, I think it's the biggest zoo in the United States. And I know it's the best zoo in the world. That's hands down.
Well, and not only in Omaha is the zoo, but they also have like the Children's Museum. They have a really cool train museum.
Yes, the Durham Train Museum. It's Durham, Durham, Durham Train Museum. That place is really cool. They got a couple giant, you know, like the old
Train cars you can walk through.
You can check out the train cars, check out what life was like back then. They also have a soda fountain up there as you're passing, and it's some good soda that you get to try. You get to try out what soda tasted like back in
They got like,
before.
I think they had like sarsaparilla or cherry sodas.
I
and
forget
stuff
what
like
they
that.
call it. I can't remember the dang name of what they call it, but it's soda before it was really made into Pepsi and Coke and stuff like that. So it's really good flavor, really good, you know, carbonation. It's pretty awesome. Durham Train Museum. Check that place out in Omaha, Nebraska. And there's I forget the name of the children's museum, but in Omaha they have a children's museum that's called a children's museum. If you Google it, you pull
Omaha
it up.
Children's Museum.
Right. But Omaha, Nebraska is one of those places where it's a weekend trip. You could do it in a weekend. If you're not from Omaha, you could fly in and hang out there for a weekend and fly home. It's that quick. The Omaha Zoo, I would encourage everybody, if you're going to go, take 2 days. Because we went in one day. You can get through it in one day, but you're kind of rushing and you don't get to see, let's just say there's a particular animal that's not in its enclosure and you kind of hang out there and wait for it to come out. You're going to miss something later on because they're going to close before you can get out. So, and they're going to close before you can see everything. But Omaha, Nebraska is one of our we haven't been there for a while, but I promised my grandma we'd take her
Yeah.
up to the zoo. So we're going to do that. Hopefully, whether it gets better soon. I also want to get grandma on the podcast and talk about what life was like growing up and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of neat.
Yeah.
But, what is one of your favorite places that you've ever traveled?
So, a favorite place I've ever traveled.
Ever in your whole life?
It would be when we went to Universal. Now, I would love to go back to Chicago without kids.
Oh man, I was forgetting about Chicago, but I can't go. I mean, we'll have to go to Chicago more than once because there's a lot of cool crap in Chicago made for kids.
Yeah, because the only reason like I want to go to Chicago without kids is because like our kids are kind of distracting.
Yeah,
And Chicago's very busy
and dangerous.
Yeah. And I just don't think it's safe at this point with our kids.
I don't know. When we went the last time, we didn't have very much difficulties, but also we didn't have an autistic runner with us. So, I think I have told this story, like, was slowly running out of Walmart and I couldn't catch him. So I pushed him down.
Yeah, you can't do that to Rocket.
Well, not in the middle of Chicago either.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So Universal Studios, your favorite place that you've ever traveled. Why?
Well, for one, I love roller coasters.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to see there. Like, I think I like Orlando.
I like Orlando
And
too.
so I think, when I went there by myself for work, I was able to explore Orlando a little bit
Yeah.
before my coworker came. So I saw a different side of Orlando that we didn't get to see when we went down there as a family.
And you got to cruise around in a Camaro.
Yeah. But Universal, like, there's just a lot of different stuff to do there, and you could just spend all day looking at little shops and
Right. It
hanging
seemed like
out
as soon as we walked in the gates at the City Walk. Now, anybody not familiar with Universal Studios, they have 3 parks total. I forget the name of the water park. Riptide something. Anyway, they got a water park, and they got Universal Studios, and they got... What's the other one? Isle of Adventure.
Yeah.
And so they've got 3 parks that are connected together. However, how you get to those parks is you got to come into the City Walk. And now the water park has its own little bus ride that you go off, but your pickup zone is near the City Walk. So, and they actually have a ride from the City Walk to the water park. But
I think it's Volcano Bay, isn't it?
Volcano Bay, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Riptide. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I think that's
it's
a
a
ride.
ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got the 2 main parks, which is Universal Studios and Isle of Adventure, and they are right off of the City Walk. Now, if you've ever been to Disney World, they have something called Disney Springs. If you've never been to I guess if you've never been to Disney World, they have a Disney Springs.
It used to be called Downtown Disney.
Basically what it is, it's just like an entry. It's a place where the City Walk, Universal City Walk, anybody can go. You don't have to have tickets. You do have to pay for parking. But you don't have to have tickets to get into City Walk. And there's restaurants, there's shops, movie theater. I think they even have a Burger King Whopper bar down there, which is like you order a Whopper any way you want. And they have Voodoo Donuts.
They have a Jimmy or Margaritaville.
Margaritaville.
They have like live music.
Yeah, a place. Live music, and then there's also that middle water
Emporium.
feature. Yes, that Chocolate Emporium's one of that place is awesome.
And
they got some badass cookies down there.
What's that one place? That's right next to the Chocolate Emporium.
I don't know. It's a candy place.
No. No.
Now we got to think of
Oh
a
my
minute.
gosh, it's the place you got Rocket a t-shirt up in Niagara Falls.
Hard Rock.
Hard Rock. Yeah, they got a Hard Rock.
Yeah,
there too.
that's they actually have a hotel, Hard Rock Hotel there at Universal Studios. It's one of their premium hotels. We haven't gotten to stay there yet.
It's a giant place.
But in 2025, there's going to be an epic universe that opens up Universal Studios. I so cannot wait for that. We're going to get season tickets again, and we're going to go at least twice.
Fantastic.
It is going to be fantastic. And
I'm sure there's going to be a UFO there.
Almost certainly,
Or UFOs.
Yeah, lots of them, probably. I mean, have you seen the news recently? We'll get into that on another show. The first time we went down there, I wore that UFO podcast shirt, and I was kind of advertising for it. But there's lots of UFO and
sparked the idea.
Yeah, UFO themed and alien themed, like Men in Black. The ride is in there, and E.T. the ride. So I thought it was kind of cool. E.T. was one of my favorite movies growing up. So
Yeah, I mean, but it was like, this needs some
Man,
updating.
they need to bring back the Terminator ride. Come on, man. Listen to us like I've never ridden the
Jaws,
Terminator ride. See, and they just recently took that out before we went down there. Yeah. It was in that water that was on it was the Universal Studios side where you go over to Harry Potter World.
Yeah.
So, and I thought that the Wizarding World of Harry Potter was the coolest shit that I have ever seen in my whole life. It is.
You feel like you're in the movies.
I know. I didn't want to leave, and Caleb, he's a huge Harry Potter fan, and I've been a Harry Potter fan like longer than I've had kids. So
yeah, like I love the picture I took of Caleb in the wand store because he's all like looking at the wands.
It was so awesome. We had a great time. We actually got season tickets so when I called down to get the reservations and stuff, the lady that was helping me out, she said that it would be cheaper with how many days that I wanted to stay. It would be cheaper if we got season tickets. And then once we got the season tickets, we could come down again if we wanted to, cheaper than what single day tickets would have cost. Single day tickets for the length of time that we wanted to go. And so, yeah, that's definitely for sure what we're doing in 2025. We're going to, last summer when the kids were out of school, we went to Worlds of Fun, which is a Kansas City amusement park owned by, I think it's Cedar Fair, I think. But it's just a, small hometown amusement park, nothing big or fancy. I mean, it's a pretty cool place. I think we're kind of spoiled because we've lived by it our whole lives. So, it is, I think a lot of other people would appreciate Worlds of Fun a little bit more than we do.
But I think it's just because we've been bigger places, and so our expectations are a little bit higher, and then we go there and it's like I said, it's like that Instagram versus reality. So
that's so funny because that's true. Like them motherfuckers got skunks running around that park, and they think like obviously nobody's been sprayed recently, but they think that they're good luck charms or whatever, and that's just not appealing when I like eating my food.
Or bees. They have really a horrible bee problem.
Yeah. But I mean, I do understand, those skunks were there before the park came and they're not going to make them leave. I kind of get it. It is what it is, but little Thumper. And what's the skunk's name?
Pepe Le Pew? I don't know.
No. From Bambi. You remember Thumper? And, who cares?
I have no idea.
Who cares? Doesn't matter. But anyway, we haven't had really any big mishaps on any of the trips that we've went on, except for the sunburn and the sunburn at Disney World and the vomiting at Disney World. There's not really been any other big hiccups. I mean, the last time that we went to Universal Studios, I don't know if you want to talk about the trip home that you had.
That was the trip there. That was not the trip home.
Oh, you want to talk about it?
Because I remember it.
You want to talk about it?
So
I can tell the story if you want. I just didn't know if you wanted to get into it.
I mean, you can talk about it if you want.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I gave my wife some edible gummies, some edible cannabis gummies, and it was supposed to be...
Okay, so we were shortly outside of Atlanta, Georgia, on our way to Orlando, Florida.
Right. And I was like, here, let's have some fun. And so I gave her a few gummies. I gave her a couple too many. And she had a really bad experience. And she swore them off forever. But I don't think so. I think I'll get her to do it again one of these days.
No, I said I needed to go to a hospital. Like in the middle of
really, you just
6-lane
needed to eat
traffic
some food
in
and take a
Atlanta,
nap.
Georgia.
I am so sorry.
I thought I was going to die.
I'm sorry.
But you know what we didn't talk about yet? We
What?
haven't talked about our stay at the Bass Pro Shop in Memphis.
Oh my gosh. One of my favorite places ever. We got to go back. That was so freaking cool.
Mishaps, I got to thinking about, you and Caleb going over the speed bump.
Oh my God.
That's
why we rent cars when we go vacation. So you could, I drive
take them over speed bumps.
Right. Like I didn't know. All right. So I took this up. It was a giant speed bump. I was going like 45 miles an hour. We got airborne. I saw sparks coming out the back end, and we were in a minivan. So
in Memphis,
our next stop after this place, we were going to the mountains. And this place was our first stop because I was like, I want to go check out that pyramid. So in Memphis, they've got a Bass Pro Shop. And it's not an ordinary Bass Pro Shop. It is in a pyramid structure. And I mean, this place is huge. And inside the pyramid structure is, of course, the Bass Pro Shop. But above the place, they've got a giant walkout bar. And it's outside the balcony, and it's on top. You get to go out and look at, Memphis.
Yeah, you can see like West Memphis, Arkansas. Would that be West Memphis, Arkansas?
West Memphis, yes.
Yeah.
West Memphis is in Arkansas, and then Memphis is in Tennessee.
The Bass Pro Shop's in East Memphis.
So when you walk into the place, of course, you see Bass Pro, but then when you get in past the entrance, it opens up and then you can see everything. And there's, of course, ponds and aquariums.
There's a bowling alley.
There's a bowling alley in this place. All right. A bowling alley and a restaurant. And so there's also a hotel in there. And the hotel is really neat. It's got themed rooms and stuff, kind of like in the woods.
Yeah, it's almost like a lodge.
Yeah. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think it's called a lodge.
Like something Bear Lodge.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, you just Google Bass Pro Shops in Memphis, and you'll see. And of course, the website. You want to link the website in the description. We'll that way people can check it out. But anyway, you have all this stuff inside the Bass Pro Shop because of the Bass Pro Shop, and it's huge. It is a big, big, big place. But there's also that hotel, and it's called Lodge or whatever. But there's obviously normal rooms, and it's normal, normal size hotel that takes up just the outside of the pyramid there. And the inside of the pyramid is, of course, the Bass Pro Shop. But once you get to the top of and it's not the very top of the pyramid, but it's kind of like, I don't remember how many stories up it was, like 10 stories or whatever. But they have these cabin type rooms, and it's you walk out and it's like open air, and then it's like these little cabins on top. Mm-hmm. And you can walk out onto your balcony and see over the whole store.
Yeah, you could, we ate breakfast out on our balcony in the mornings and could see the store before it opened.
Before it opened up, after it closes, it's really, really neat. Well, definitely one of those bucket list type things. If you guys like Bass Pro Shops or fishing, or
the rooms are
just
super,
cool shit.
Super nice.
Yeah, I mean it was expensive, but it wasn't
room service.
It wasn't prohibitively so expensive, and it was like. It was like 4-star prices, 5-star hotel. It was a really awesome place. Room service, it was American style food, bowling alley, all kinds of, we didn't leave the entire weekend we were there. We ate there, we went bowling, we had a lot of fun at the store. And of course, it was very relaxing in the suite, and the biggest damn tub I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And that was pretty nice. But and then when we left there, we went and stayed at one of those big ass cabins in Gatlinburg. That was a really, really fun trip. And I had forgotten about that. We wanted to talk about that Bass Pro Shop. Thank you for bringing that up. What else you got down there?
And so our next trip, well, and then, like what it's like traveling without kids and how it's weird going places without each other.
Oh yeah. So I've talked about this before, but I went to San Francisco with Caleb, and it was supposed to be, like he was going to a wedding. He was going to his sister's wedding in just outside of San Francisco. And everybody was flying into San Francisco, and they were going to stay there and drive to the wedding and drive back to San Francisco, fly home. And as Caleb's talking to his sister about it, I was like, where are you guys staying? He's like, San Francisco. And I was like, what's in San Francisco? He's like, what? And I said, Alcatraz. He's like, oh yeah. And I was like, I've never even been to San Francisco. And he's like, you want to go? And I was like, do I? And so I paid for the whole trip. Him and I made a little mini vacation out of it. I tell you what, though, I was homesick the entire time I was gone. And it has nothing to do with being away from home. It had everything to do with being away from you and the other kids. And it kind of sucked for me because I was having fun. I was having the time of my life. I mean, we were in a convertible Mustang, springtime in I guess it was summertime in San Francisco, beautiful weather, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better time. Brand new Mustang convertible.
I saw the redwoods.
I mean, it was great, but the entire time.
Sequoias?
Well, both. There were giant sequoias and a few redwoods in there as well. The whole time, though, I had that sick feeling in my stomach, like, God, I wish Ashley was here. I wish Sully was here. Because, man, when we were out on Alcatraz,
Rocket was here.
Well, Rocket wasn't old enough to remember anything. So, actually, he was young enough not to be a pain in the ass. So I missed everybody. We were standing out on Alcatraz, just looking around in the bay. And it was like, this is gorgeous. I wish my wife was here to see it. And one trip I didn't feel like that was when I went to Maine with my sister and we stopped by Niagara Falls. Of course, I got that feeling at Niagara Falls, like, man, I wish everybody was here to see this. But I took pictures and videos for you. But I really needed a break away from home. I really needed a break away from the kids at that point because it was the height of COVID. Everybody had been home for like a year.
But the greatest thing about that trip, I think, for me, with you going to the East Coast with your sisters when you came home, and even though Rocket, like, we had you on FaceTime every single day, multiple times a day, when you walked through the door, he just like broke down crying like you had died and came back from the dead and he was seeing you. Like, it was like so sad but so like happy at the same time because he just cried and hugged you and he was so happy to see you.
Now, you've been away from the family on a trip twice. One time, well, maybe 3 times now, but one time you went to Orlando for work recently, and then you picked up your mom from Texas. And you didn't get that reaction from Rocket any of those times that when you came home?
No. No.
Well, I attribute that because I am a stay-at-home dad. I'm Rocket's main caregiver. So I am with Rocket every day, all day. And as a matter of fact, Rocket's not here right now. He's with our cousin, Jessica Barker. She was on the show. You'll have to check out that episode, guys, because that's a good episode. Inspirational Conversations with Jessica Barker. I forget what episode number it is, but we're on episode like 17 now. So just go backwards and that's the name of it, but he's with Jessica right now. And I forgot what I was talking about.
how he doesn't react to me.
Oh yeah.
being-
So he's actually with Jessica right now, and I'm usually with him all day, every day, from the time he wakes up until the time he goes to bed. With Monday through Friday, he has like a 2-3 hour break where he goes to school. But other than that, I'm with him all the time. And so that's what I attribute that to. It's not like he didn't miss you. It's just like he didn't have me for those days. And he is so used to having me here that when he got,
Well, and you were gone for like, what, 5 days?
yeah.
Yeah, and I
almost a
was only
week.
gone like the trip with Mom. I was gone for like, because I drove her down. Well, no, hang on. What did I do? Did I drive her down?
No, I think you drove her down and then
I
flew
flew
back,
back.
and then you had to fly back down and get her.
Yeah, and so like I was only gone for 2 days that time, and then when I went to Orlando, I was gone for 3 days.
Yeah,
Like,
so
I wasn't gone very long.
and when it comes to travel tips with our kids, like, man, road snacks and drive. That's my advice, because the first time I flew was when I went to Tennessee to meet up with my sister so we could drive up to Maine. And then coming home, I flew back home, and then I flew out to San Francisco and back with Caleb. But flying is expensive, and
I love flying though. Like,
I do
it's-
too. It's like a roller
so
coaster the entire
convenient.
time. Not only, and it's not just convenient, it's fun too. I mean, I don't know. I don't talk to very many people that fly all the time that are like, oh yeah, I love flying. Flying's the greatest thing. But when I flew down from KCI, Kansas City, flew down to Nashville, it was like a short 30-45 minute flight. It was like a roller coaster the entire time. Like the pilot was ultra aggressive, and so that was really fun.
Well, when me and Sully flew from Houston to Kansas City this last time when we went to Texas with Mom, like it was scary. And for Sully, being his first time, like, well, it was a connecting flight, so it was technically his second time. He was scared, like, he's a big kid and he's holding out his hand for me to hold his hand, because the lady across the aisle went flying across the seats when we hit turbulence, and she was like, oh my God. So it was rough, and it was dark because it was, 11 o'clock at night when
Right.
we got into Kansas City. So
I like looking out the airplane windows when I'm flying, but of
Yeah.
course I've only flown a couple of times. And
I always want a window seat.
I'd like it to be more, but at the same time, if I'm not leaving the country, I don't see the point in paying those prices.
Yeah.
It's like cheaper to rent a car and drive it. It really is.
Well, and so like I like driving too, because, like when we drive to Florida, like what's the place we stopped at that's like,
Don't even talk about fucking Buc-ee's.
no, I do like Buc-ee's,
Of course you would.
but like it's like through Georgia, it's like the Plantation gas station, but they
Oh.
have all the,
Pecans and
like they
the
have all-
alligators and shit.
I like stopping and seeing weird roadside
Yes,
attractions.
absolutely. That's one of the most fun things about driving is all the crazy shit
Yeah.
that you see, like driving through Georgia and seeing a whole bunch of cotton fields.
Yeah.
It was,
Or like, like
I'd never seen cotton before, so
like the one time when, like the first time we ever went to, your sister's house in Tennessee, we drove through and saw the lamp store.
right, yeah,
you know,
and
through
I
that little
think that
bitty
place
town.
is closed now.
Yeah.
And so that is a wonderful thing to do. Be able to, when you're going through small places that kind of looks like time forgot or whatever, those are the neatest places, and you find the coolest people to talk to in those type of places.
Say you talk funny.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, that was just right outside of Nashville. That was close to Marcy Joe's Meal House. I had stopped at a gas station in the middle of Tennessee to get a pack of cigarettes, and went in and I was talking to the attendant. I asked for a pack of cigarettes. She goes, "You talk funny," and I said, "I don't fucking talk funny. You talk funny," and I walked out.
And she's probably thinking, you're rude.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it was funny, so I went with it. I didn't go back and tell her I'm just kidding, but maybe I should have.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. But anyway, Tennessee, favorite places, Universal. Guys, I can't, if you can afford to go to Universal, and if you're looking for ways to kind of make it cheaper on the pocketbook, comment on the video or there's a Q&A section on Spotify. And if you want me to, I could even do a whole show on how to save money at those type of places and still get the experience that you want to have out of them. So I learned a lot going to Disney World and going to Universal, but I've also learned quite a bit just talking to people and seeing what works. And because we like to travel, because we like to do all these things, I love planning them. And maybe I need to start up a business of helping people plan their vacations, because it's one of those things I'm good at. I really like to do it. And I've got a shit ton of money saving tips that, like Universal Studios, the lady was telling me that it would have been cheaper to get the season tickets for the amount of days that we were wanting to stay, because we were wanting to stay. I think they have 1 day, 2 day, 3 day park tickets, but we were wanting to be for 5 days. Mm-hmm. So we would have had to purchase 1 3-day pass and 1 2-day pass for everyone. And that would have been more expensive than just getting season tickets for everybody.
Yeah, because Rocket had to have his own pass as well.
Right. So, yes.
Even though he was only like 2.
I don't think we had to pay for it. I don't think we had to pay for his. I think we just had to have it. Kind of like Worlds of Fun. We didn't have to actually pay for Rockets.
Oh, because maybe if they're like 3 and under.
I think it was 3 and under.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got a shit ton of money saving tips on that. But the lady at the Universal Studios, she was telling me one of those tips is you will never find any discounted tickets for Disney or Universal or any of the places like that for that matter. You will never find them cheaper than what you can get them from Disney or Universal. And they do that on purpose. And it's not the first time I've said it on the show. Probably won't be the last, because they volunteered that information to me, but I'm sure it's to keep people from making money that's not them.
Yeah.
So, but before we wrap up this show, Ashley, I want to talk about our next adventure, because I was thinking about this place as we were planning this out, this episode. And I was talking to you about it, and you'd never heard of the place. The Cosmosphere in Hutchinson, Kansas. Is it Hutchinson or Hutchison? Hutchinson, Kansas. Cosmosphere. It's got the world's or the United States largest collection of space crap.
Not really crap, but stuff.
But we're gonna link their website, and so you guys can check it out. They got a planetarium. They've got a museum. They've got all kinds of stuff for the kids to do. And for us, it's like a 1-tank trip.
Yeah, it's like a 4.5-hour drive.
Yeah, 4.5-hour drive from here.
Tickets are fairly cheap.
I think the adult tickets were like $11.
Yeah, and that was for one thing. So like you have to buy a different ticket, like for the planetarium versus like the the hall of attractions or whatever, like memorabilia stuff, whatever they call it.
Now, they're not paying us by any means, but we're going to link their website, because it's one of those cool places. If you like space stuff, like we went to the Rocket City in, where is that? Tennessee?
Alabama.
Yes, Alabama. You're right. We went to Rocket City in Alabama. We went to, I've been to Space Center Houston. I really want to take the boys to Space Center Houston. That's a really cool place. You get to see mission control, everything.
I saw spacesuits at Houston Airport.
That probably belonged to NASA, yeah. But I really want to go to Cape Canaveral and see a launch. I thought that'd be pretty cool too, but I can't afford any of that right now. And I'm always looking for crap to do.
So like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe's the big one. We're having a lot of it. Like, we're getting plenty of views, just not many subscribers, but that's okay. it is what it is. I'm having a great time, so it doesn't really matter. But the Cosmosphere, Hutchinson, Kansas, where I heard about it was on the radio. They were talking about it, and one of the radio guys had just went there, and I've wanted to go there for the last few years. You had just found out about it last night when we were kind of talking and discussing the end of the show, what we're kind of do. And we made a plan that's going to be our next adventure. That's where we're going next. I've been wanting to go there forever, so I'm a little amped up. But we'll link their website in there. You guys check it out. If you live near, let's see, Kansas City, if you live near Wichita.
Yeah, Wichita is really close.
If you live near Wichita, Topeka, even Omaha, Nebraska, St. Louis is, it's an 8-hour drive, but it's still manageable. Oklahoma, anywhere around here. Hutchinson, Kansas. It's a really cool spot, and we'll absolutely give you guys some type of review when we get back. But I'm really excited about that. Anything else that you want to talk about before we get out of here?
I just want to talk about, I know trips and vacations can be expensive, but, kids will remember those trips and vacations rather than what you bought them as gifts.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I forgot.
They'll remember experiences more than that Lego set you got them.
Absolutely. And I forgot to talk about my magnets and stuff and what we do to save money in that aspect. Don't buy knickknacks and souvenirs. Just don't. They overcharge. Like for a t-shirt, I think at Universal Studios, I saw t-shirts for like $35.
Oh my gosh. And the Harry Potter cloaks were like $300.
Yeah. F that. F a bunch of that. No.
I can make you one.
Right. Yeah. And I can
hit me up and I'll sew one together.
Right. I'm going to charge you $250.
Yeah.
Don't buy souvenirs. Don't buy like t-shirts, and Orlando's full of knockoff t-shirt stores. But stop in one. If you got to have a Disney shirt, stop in one of them knockoff stores and buy one of those. Don't spend full price on a $40 t-shirt that you're never going to wear. One of the things that I like to collect, I started a shot glass collection until we really started traveling. Like now I got a shit ton of shot glasses, and they take up a lot of space. But you know what doesn't take up a lot of space and that is also pretty cheap? Keychains and refrigerator magnets. Now, we've got not a refrigerator full of magnets, but anytime we go over to our refrigerator, we've got the Marcy Joe's Meal House magnet. We've got 3 or 4 Universal Studios magnets. I got Velocicoaster magnets. I've got magnets from the Winchester Mystery House in, where is that place at? San Jose, California.
I got you Artemis magnets.
Oh, yes, from Houston.
Houston.
Yeah, and I'm really obsessed with space stuff. I named my son Rocket. But I'm really obsessed with that space stuff. So when you were down in Houston, you were like, what can I buy Ricky? What can I buy Ricky? Well, he doesn't really like souvenirs and knickknacks.
But what he hasn't told you is he really likes Christmas. He loves Christmas.
I love Christmas.
So it's like either a refrigerator magnet or a Christmas ornament. So we do have Christmas ornaments from Universal Studios.
We got, yes.
As well as the M&M store.
Yes.
From Disney World. Right? The M&M store was
Disney World, yeah. Disney Springs.
Yeah.
So. Shouted me. I love Christmas. The Universal, there was a Christmas store in Universal Studios. It had nothing but Christmas crap.
Yeah.
I cried. I walked into that store and I started tearing up. That's how much I love Christmas. I freaking love it. The last few years I've been putting up my own Christmas lights. I didn't get to do it this year because I got all my Christmas lights out and half of them weren't working. And I was like, I spent a lot of money on this stuff. And I told you, I was like, instead of putting them up this year, I'm really upset. And so I'm going to throw them away and start over. And you were like, okay, well, you can start over now. And I was like, I'm too upset.
Yeah.
Like I had spent thousands of dollars on my Christmas stuff and it wasn't working. And I was so pissed off. I threw it all away.
Yeah.
And so, and as a matter of fact, it was already in the dump before I told her about it. So, the Christmas store, I love Christmas and love magnets. I love shot glasses, and those things are really cheap to, I think $10 for magnets at the most. For like $5 for a shot glass. You're going to have those things for a long time, especially magnets. You stick them to your refrigerator and you're going to have those longer than you're going to have the t-shirt. And you're certainly going to look at them more often than you look at the t-shirt. I mean, you got a closet full of t-shirts that you never wear. And I bet a lot of people are like that. So when you go on vacation, if money's tight.
Like right now, I'm wearing my t-shirt. I'm wearing Sully's.
You're wearing Sully's shirt. If you're going on vacation and money's tight, and I know what it's like to be like, telling the kids asking for stuff, but just be straight up and honest with them. Say, hey, do you like doing things like this? Do you like going on vacation? Do you want to come back to Universal Studios? Then we can't be buying a bunch of junk. Because that's how you get robbed on big kids. That's how they get you. And so that's one of those money saving tips. But as you were saying, we spend money on our children on gifts throughout the year. And we think about what the kids want for Christmas, birthday gifts. We don't spend a whole lot of money on it. And one of the reasons why is because we would rather take the money that we spend or would spend on big, extravagant Christmas presents and throw it at vacation on experiences and things to do, memories, things that they'll remember. And as you said, they're not going to remember the time they got 7 pairs of socks, a gift card, and a video game. They're not going to remember that. I mean, they're going to remember obviously the good times and the Christmas and the smiles and stuff, but they're not going to care about the crap that you give them. What they will care about is, like saving all year long for a vacation trip to like Universal. How cool would it be to save that money that you were going to spend on this year's Christmas, save it all year long, and give them a box that has Universal tickets in it.
Yeah, because I think the older the kids get, the more they're like, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right.
I'd rather do that. Like I know Rocky, he doesn't really care.
Well, and I mean, at a certain point, you get to a point with kids where you run out of stuff to buy them, because like they already have all the crap that they want that will allow them to have. Like, like they don't have the latest, greatest video game system because they're not allowed to, I'm not spending like $800 on a video game system. It's not happening. I don't do it for myself, not doing it for you. And if you want it for yourself, you buy it. And that's what Caleb did. Caleb got a new PS5 and he, wasn't 18 yet. And he had his own money. And I was like, I don't care if you want to buy it with your money. I'm not buying it. I'll buy it when the price drops. Yeah. And the price still hasn't dropped. So they will absolutely remember that we maybe should have started out with that. And that the kids will remember the trips. They will remember the time that you spent with them. They will remember, especially when they go to do this stuff with their families, like they will remember the money that you spent on the vacation. Like we hear all the time, when are we going back to Universal? When are we going back to Worlds of Fun? And that's one of our favorite things that we love amusement parks anyway. But now we've got our kids into them. We've got our kids riding roller coasters.
Except Caleb.
Well, yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to be into roller coasters.
Not everybody's perfect. And I told him, I was like...
Not everybody's perfect.
I told him, I was like, hey, listen, kid. I think the reason why I'm not scared anymore is because of kids. Yeah. Like, once you have babies and kids, it makes the thrill rides not as scary because, waiting for your 3-year-old to get out of surgery that's scary shit. A roller coaster, nah, that's not scary.
Yeah.
You know,
It's going to be over in 15 seconds. So
your 5-year-old, your 5-year-old having surgery on his eyes. That's terrifying.
yeah.
Roller coasters, fun. I think it's all fun. I love roller coasters, the spinny rides, though. I even like the rides that make me sick. Like when I'm so dizzy, like there was a ride at Disney World. It was a Star Wars ride. It's like one of the very first 3D ones I ever rode. And it was so good that it made me nauseous. And I was like, I'll get on it and ride it again.
Yeah, we were both nauseous, and like Caleb and Sully were like, yeah, that was awesome. And we're both like, where's the trash can? Because we're going to throw up.
And the only roller coaster that's made me ever feel like that was the Hulk coaster. Now, it didn't make me vomit sick. It was very disorienting. I got off that ride and I was dizzy, like fall down dizzy. And I felt like I was drunk almost. And it was that disorienting. So the Hulk coaster, absolutely 10 out of 10. No, I can't say 10 out of 10 because Velocicoaster is the best ride I've ever ridden, hands down, anytime. The Hulk coaster, probably 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
The Velocicoaster, 11 out of 10. I definitely recommend that ride. And I've also heard one of the places I really want to go to is Busch Gardens. I heard there's a lot of kick-ass roller coasters there in Tampa.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to talk about before we bring that to a close? I really like that you wanted to talk about the thing with the kids and the remembering.
I mean, 'cause that's what I remember. Like, we didn't go on vacation a lot, but like we always went with my grandparents, and I remember all the places we went with my grandparents and what we did.
Yeah, well, and we'll have to talk about one of the coolest things I ever did in my whole life. And I asked you one of your favorite places to travel and everything. We'll have to get into it on a different episode about my favorite shit, because that's going to be a whole episode in itself. Yeah. So I think that's it for today. Next week we're going to have another update for you guys, and I'm going to try to get a guest in here today or tomorrow. We're going to make that happen. I've got to find a way, and I want to talk to some makers. So until then, we'll see you guys.
Bye.